want to check that we are good for recording. Thank you. All right, if I could have a motion to approve tonight's agenda for June 9th, 2025.
Erica Kelly.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Dave. Thank you.
Yes.
We would like to move us on to honoring our retirees, and I am going to turn it over to Todd Hilgendorf.
Thanks, Tracy. Good evening, everybody. So we're going to start tonight with recognizing our retirees. Mr. Bennett was not able to be here tonight. He is off at a national conference representing Greenville. So I'm sharing on behalf of him and the district as I want to thank our retirees. And I'm going to have the administrators come up and speak about each of the retirees. But before we start that, just some words from my perspective as we recognize our teachers and educators. So we often think of years in education, we say years of service, right? We talk about this person has had this many years of service. So with that in mind, I want to take a minute and talk about that word, service. And what is the word for? Education is truly an act of service. What we do every day as educators is we serve our students, we serve our families, and we serve the community that is around Greenville every day. So I have a quote that I'd like to read that kind of goes a little bit deeper into this idea of what is service as it relates to education. So it comes from a book written by Dr. Rachel Naomi Remen. She's an incredible author. Check her out if you don't know her name. But she has a piece where she wrote about what service means, and she contrasts the idea of service with the idea of helping and fixing. So these are her words. Service, unlike helping, is a relationship between equals. Helping incurs debt. When you help someone, they owe you one. But serving is different. Serving is mutual. When I help someone, I have a feeling of satisfaction. When I serve, I have a feeling of gratitude. Fundamentally, helping, fixing, and serving are all ways of seeing life. When you help, you see life as weak. When you fix, you see life as broken. But when you serve, you see life as whole. From the perspective of service, we are all connected. All suffering is like my suffering, and all joy is like my joy. The impulse to serve emerges naturally and inevitably from this way of seeing the idea of service. So I like that because when I think about our educators and the work that they have done with students and the years of service that they've had to Greenville, they have truly been focused on this idea of service, not helping, not fixing, but serving the students, the families, and the community. When I look at the list of our educators retiring this year, I'm struck by how clearly their careers reflect this deeper idea of service. Together, they have dedicated more than 170 years of service. So stop and think about that. 170 years of service when you put them all together. And that's all to serve the students, families, and the greater Greenville community. They have shown us what it looks like to serve with compassion, consistency, and heart. And each one has helped to make Greenville a place where everyone truly learns, teaches, and belongs. So with that, we're going to honor our service from our educators as we say thank you to them. We're going to start with Mr. Urban and some of our elementary folks.
Good evening, everybody. Members of the board, colleagues, guests. I have the privilege and honor of speaking for three of our Ellis family members this evening. It is my pleasure to start with someone who I've grown very close to this year, Mrs. Karen Overbaugh. Karen is an invaluable member of our Ellis main office team who has served our district with unmatched dedication and heart for the past 20 years. Karen has been the steady hand behind so many of the critical operations that keep our elementary school running smoothly, from organizing substitute coverage at a moment's notice, to planning emergency drills, coordinating state testing, overseeing field trips, and simply put, managing the daily rhythm of the building. And Karen has done that all with precision, professionalism, and an unwavering sense of purpose. But beyond her incredible work ethic, what truly sets Karen apart is the way she does her job. With kindness, with patience, and with grace. Whether she's supporting a colleague as the president of the Greenville Paraprofessional Federation, helping a student through a tough moment, or simply offering a warm greeting at the start of a busy day, Karen brings a sense of calm and care that lifts up everyone around her. On a personal note, I can confidently say that I would have not survived my first year as a principal without her. Karen's assertive suggestions, such as, "I don't want to tell you what to do, but you may want to consider this," were always delivered with a gentle tone and my best interest in mind, and for that I am forever grateful. Her retirement marks the end of a remarkable chapter, but her legacy of compassion and integrity and excellence will continue to shape our school for many years to come. Karen, we thank you for everything that you've given to our community, and we wish you all the joy and fulfillment that retirement can offer. You will be deeply missed, and I know that you will come back and visit often because we could never forget you. Congratulations. It is also my honor to stand here tonight and recognize the retirement of a truly exceptional educator, Mrs. Josephine Rufa, who has dedicated 28 remarkable years to our district. Todd, when you talk about service, I picture Karen and I picture Josephine. Josephine is a veteran presence in every sense, long been a cornerstone of our Ellis School community. She is an exceptional instructor with a deep understanding of curriculum and pedagogy, and her commitment to student learning has impacted the lives of hundreds, perhaps thousands of children over nearly 3 decades. Her classroom is not just a place to learn content, however. It is a space where students feel heard, valued, because they are given a voice. That personal connection she built with each learner is part of what made her such a powerful and lasting influence in our school. Beyond the classroom, she has been a tremendously supportive colleague, professional, respectful, and generous with her time and wisdom. Her deep knowledge of teaching practices has made her a trusted mentor and friend to many educators over the years. There is a sense of poetry in her retirement story as well. The joy of working in the same building as her daughter, and the pride of watching her grandchildren walk through the halls of the very school where she gave so much of herself. And though she's now retiring, I have no doubt she'll continue shaping those same young minds, most likely around the kitchen table, helping with homework and cheering on the little successes. Josephine, thank you for your years of service, your professionalism, and above all, your heart. You leave behind a legacy that will live on in every student you've inspired and every colleague you've supported. Congratulations on your retirement. And last but certainly not least, I am honored to recognize and celebrate the retirement of Mrs. Elaine Olzowski, affectionately known as Mrs. O at Ellis, a dedicated aide who has been a beloved member of our district for the past 22 years. Elaine has brought so much more than just support to the classrooms she's served. She brings her heart on a daily basis. Her warmth, her compassion, her gentle nature have made a lasting impact on countless students, many of whom found comfort, encouragement, and a sense of belonging because of her presence. She has a special way of making young learners feel seen, heard, and cared for, qualities that are at the very core of a nurturing school environment. For over 2 decades, Elaine has helped build a community rooted in kindness. Her legacy lives on in the students she supported, the colleagues she uplifted, and the welcoming spaces she helped create every single day. As she steps into retirement, we know she'll be trading the school hallways for garden paths, spending her days tending to her roses with the very same love and care she showed for our students. Elaine, we thank you for 22 years of extraordinary service, and I wish you peace, joy, and plenty of sunshine in your well-deserved retirement. You will be deeply missed, and I know you'll be coming back to join us as a volunteer next year so that your spirit will continue to bloom in all the lives of the children that you have touched. Congratulations.
Mr. Urban, before you go, so Pauline and Karen, could you come up? And Mr. Urban has something for you as a token of appreciation and thanks for all that you've done for the district.
Smile for me. Congratulations.
Mr. Reed is now going to come up. Speak about our middle school educator retiring.
Good evening, everyone. So tonight, Mr. Good was actually joking beforehand about the fact that I was happy about Dina retiring. Again, I was just joking along, but no, it is June 30th is going to be a sad day at the middle school. And for the past 29 years, Dina has served the Greenville district with her unwavering dedication. For the last 22 years, she's been the foundation of our middle school. If you have a question to ask Dina. She's been a constant source of support for our students, our families, faculty, staff, and administrators. For the past 15 years, I've had the privilege of working alongside her as my administrative assistant, and together we have formed a great team. Dina's commitment to Greenville has been inspiring. If you know middle school, you know that no 2 days are ever the same. Yet Dina meets each day's challenges with grace, patience, and determination. She approaches her work with efficiency and thoroughness, all while keeping me on my toes. She's never shied away from any technological changes, is often the first to master new programs, and quickly become the go-to resource for everyone else. And over the years, school tools for years, people with school tools for our student management systems indoors, she kind of became the queen of that in terms of, just ask Dina what type of report you want, and it'll be run. So I can't thank her enough for embracing new changes at times and really tackling it and then becoming a resource for many people throughout the building. She's been very fortunate to be able to see one of her grandchildren into middle school. I told her that it's not too late because she could see her other one if she waited and retired with me. But she's choosing June 30th. I'm sure she's going to miss, as Mr. Urban talked about, the sub coverage every morning. I hate to know how many students have walked in the office to ask you for their locker combination over the years. Think about it, at least a couple thousand, 3,000, 4,000 times probably. Yeah. So,
Same kid 10 times a day.
But again, Dina has been, like I said, that strong force in the middle school. Really, my work wife, okay, of just the idea of that, it works, and we just say, I need this, and it's just done, whereas for anyone else, I have to type out a long email of what I exactly need, so it's just, that connection, bond has really formed over the years, and I really appreciate the working relationship that we've been able to have to benefit our students here in Greenville. As she does approach retirement, we know the middle school will feel a significant void. That said, I'm hoping tonight for it that you approve the personnel agenda, because Dina is on there to be a substitute. We expect you back. Dina, your service to Greenville really does embody our Spartan strong traits. You've left a lasting mark on our school community, to our families and students, and we are deeply grateful. Thank you for your extraordinary dedication, professionalism, and heart over the past 29 years. You'll be deeply missed by all, especially me. You leave behind a legacy that will continue to inspire us all. Thank you, Dina.
Thank you.
So I'm here to speak about Gordon's retirement. We are proud to recognize and celebrate the retirement of Gordon Conroe, who has devoted 34 years to education, 14 years in Massachusetts, and 20 in New York. Throughout his career, Gordon has taught a wide range of subjects, including physical education, health, driver's education, anatomy and physiology, and general science. His contributions extended beyond the classroom, having coached numerous sports such as basketball, football, baseball, track and field, and volleyball. He also served multiple school districts as a strength coach, always supporting the growth and development of his students. But Gordon's impact goes beyond his professional accomplishments. Excuse me. His journey is marked by resilience, devotion, and faith. Life's path led him to Greenville, where he spent the final 2 decades of his career. It was his wife's health challenges that brought them closer to her family and brought Gordon to the Greenville community. He has often expressed deep gratitude for the unwavering support he received from the school community during that time. At the heart of Gordon's life is his steadfast faith in his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. His faith, along with his love for his family, has guided him through life's many challenges and helped shape the man he is today. On behalf of the faculty, administration, and students of Greenville, we extend our deepest gratitude and best wishes to Gordon as he embarks on this next chapter in his life. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May he make his face shine upon you and give you peace in your retirement. Congratulations on your retirement, Gordon. You will be missed.
We'll get it to him.
For the folks that aren't here, we'll get them their
Okay.
report, their plaque. Thank you, Mr. Gunn. And Mrs. Gordon.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I have the privilege of honoring someone who has spent the past 21 years shaping minds, sparking curiosity, and bringing history to life. One of our social studies teachers, Mr. Tim Albright. For over 2 decades, Mr. Albright has done far more than teach facts and dates. He has helped students understand the world, their place in it, and the importance of being informed, thoughtful citizens. Whether it was leading a spirited class discussion, or classroom debates, guiding students through complex topics, or simply offering a kind word at the right time, Tim made a lasting impact on generations of learners. A student recently shared the following. There are so many wonderful things we could say about Mr. Albright. It's hard to choose just one. But if we had to pick a quality that truly stands out, it would be his incredible ability to boost confidence in his students. Whether behind the camera or in front of the microphone, those who've had the chance to work with him in Media Club or on the morning announcements know just how empowering his encouragement can be. His support has helped so many find their voice, believe in themselves, and shine a little brighter each day. We are so grateful for the passion, dedication, and wisdom Tim has brought to our school community. While we will miss his presence, we know that his next chapter will be filled with well-deserved rest, new adventures, and maybe even some time to enjoy history without grading a single paper. Congratulations to Tim and happy retirement.
And our final retiree, I get the pleasure. I'm not going to look at her because I'll get choked up. So we're also recognizing Erin Dubois, our assistant superintendent tonight, after 30 years of service to Greenville. So when I told Erin that I was going to be the one speaking, she told me I got a minute because she does not like the attention being on her. So I'll be a little longer than a minute, but not too long. So 30 years of service. Erin has 23 years as the elementary school counselor, a year early on as a teacher support teacher. I didn't know what that was, so I had to ask her. It's like what we would now call an intervention teacher. And the last 6 years as our assistant superintendent, where I've had the pleasure of working with her very closely on a daily basis. So thinking about Erin, in all of those roles, 2 words that come to mind is caring and dedication. She truly cares about every single member of this district. So when we talk about service, and I mentioned the idea of students and families and community, Erin has a level of care for every single member of that community. So I was thinking of a million different stories that I could tell, or just little anecdotes that kind of shine a light on Erin's dedication and care to the district. I'm going to pick two. So the first one is in my previous role as the curriculum person, I had the pleasure of doing screening interviews for all of our teachers and TAs, counselors. Erin and I would be the first ones to do screening interviews with those candidates. And currently in education, when we interview candidates, we are interviewing them to make sure we're getting the best candidate for Greenville, but candidates are very much also interviewing us to see if Greenville is a place that they want to come. So in those interviews, very frequently, there would always be some type of question from the candidate, because we give them an opportunity to ask if there's anything we could answer. There would always be some version of a question about, like, what's the best thing about Greenville, or what do you enjoy about working at Greenville? And every time that question was asked, you could see Erin get like all excited and get like light up, like, oh, I got this one. And her answer was always, some different versions of it, but always had to do with the people. It was about the people that make Greenville great. Our students, our faculty, our staff, our parents, our community. She could speak to what makes Greenville great is the people that are here. And she was very eager and excited to always share that with candidates. And why is that so incredibly important? We have gotten candidates that accept jobs at Greenville and will refer back to, I had a choice between Greenville and a job offer in another district. And there was something about my interview process at Greenville that I felt more welcomed. I felt more care. I felt more being a part of something, so I chose Greenville. And that ties directly back to Erin and how she approaches the whole hiring process in her current role. So that's one. Second one is, even though she has been out of the building as elementary school counselor for 6 years, many of the middle school and high school students know her because she was their elementary school counselor. So if you want to see the impact that Erin has had at Greenville, just walk through the hallways with her during the change of periods any day at middle school, high school, and you feel like you're walking with a celebrity. Because the kids remember and have the feeling of what Mrs. Dubois did for them when they were in elementary school. And that sense of caring and dedication comes across very strong there as well. So those are my two examples of the importance and everything that Erin has done in her time at Greenville. On a personal note, Brian mentioned how like he and Dina could just like look at each other and know what they're talking about. But that is me and Erin. I'm going to miss that tremendously. We could probably finish each other's sentences at this point from the time working together. So thank you for all that you have done for me, for all the students, families, and community of Greenville. So, if the retirees that are here, you're welcome to stay for the meeting, but you're also welcome to go. If you are going to go, or stay regardless, Ms. Pizzola would like to do a picture with all four of you. So if you could just make your way over to where Ms. Pizzola is. She's doing a lovely welcome over there.
All right, stage right, stage right.
Stage right.
And again, thank you, thank you, thank you for the years of service. I almost feel like, it's 1 year worth 5 service years or something. So it's definitely not a one-to-one relationship. But the caring and the dedication truly are one of the things that makes Greenville such a special place. So I think that you said it beautifully, Todd. I will give you that. Thank you. And I will check that book out. All right, I'm going to move us on to the open forum. Then the Greenville Central School District wishes to facilitate public access to meetings of the Board of Education and to provide an opportunity for public comment at these meetings. Accordingly, the open forum provides an opportunity for members of the public to share thoughts about topics on the agenda. An individual's comments shall be limited to 5 minutes. Additionally, comments may be emailed to the district clerk, Daphne Pearson, using the email pearsond@greenvillecsd.org. In order for an email to be read during the meeting, it must be received by 4 p.m. on the day of the meeting and state that the email is to be read out loud. Emails shall be limited to 600 words. Please note that this is not the time to register complaints that need to be addressed confidentially through the proper channels. Remarks that might be considered defamatory, obscene, profane, stigmatizing, or otherwise impermissible in public forums are prohibited and will be declared out of order. Board members actively listen during open forum but may not immediately respond to comment. Is there anyone that would like to speak? Okay, and if you could just state your name for the recording.
My name is Tanya Fricky. I'm the K-12 Instructional Technology Specialist.
And I'm Brenda Schultes, representing the Greenville Faculty Association.
So we just wanted to give a brief update about the Relay for Life that was on May 17th here at the high school, at the track. It poured for about an hour and a half, and I think the rains waited just so we could start our survivors lap. I think we made it around maybe the first corner of the track, and the heavens opened up. We were drenched, but it didn't stop us. We had about 150 people come through that day, 13 teams, 8 of which were associated with Greenville, whether it was Greenville students, friends of Greenville, Greenville Faculty Association, families in Greenville and our community. And we raised, at this point, donations are still coming in, a little over $17,000 for the event. So, and that's Columbia and Greene counties, the 2 counties. So, you know, that's pretty amazing, especially for our first time, because we were kind of building the plane as we were flying it here, as far as planning went, but we did it. And they're asking us, you know, would you do it again next year? So I was thinking about it. Need a little bit more help, but we did it. And we'd really like to extend a huge thank you to all of you, the board, because you came and you wore your t-shirts, and we have this great picture of all of you. Oh, it was a great picture, it really was. And we appreciate the support so much. I mean, that meant a lot. So thank you. Thank you very much. Is there anything else?
No, I think you did a great job.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
And a quick shout out to Angela, who organized us, so thank you, because you kind of got us moving like herding cats. Did you do this? Yes, yes, thank you. So we greatly appreciate it. Is anyone else who would like to speak? Do we have any emails? No. Okay. Then I'm going to move us on to the exchange student experience. Yo.
So as Yo's coming out, go ahead. I'm going to do a quick little introduction. So Yo Nami is our Rotary Youth Exchange student this year. For those of you that don't know, Rotary International has a youth exchange program that partners up students from around the world in different countries. Yo has been participating in the full year program, meaning that she has been with us since September and stays through till the end of June. So it's a 10-month program that students go somewhere else in the world. I always commend the students that do this, because if you think about when you were a teenager, would you go somewhere else in the world where the language wasn't your first language and the culture is different from your culture and you're not going to see your family for 10 months? It is a big deal. But it is an incredible experience. So we asked Yo to come tonight and share a little bit about herself and her experience. So I will turn it over to Yo.
And just press the gray button so that the blue light comes on.
Hello, nice to see you again. I'm going to present my memories of exchange year. First of all, I'm going to introduce my home country. I'm from Wakayama, Japan. It's located near the Osaka, which is the second biggest city in Japan. And it takes only an hour by train from where I'm from. As for the weather, we have 4 seasons and it's relatively warm throughout the year. Do you know how small Japan is? The land size of Japan is a little bit smaller than California state. next, the above picture is Hokkaido, which is located in the most north of Japan. It's famous for the snow or skiing and the seafood. They're so good. And then the bottom picture is Okinawa, which is located in the most south, and they're very beautiful beaches and then such a nice resort place. I've been to there for my Japanese senior trip, and it was really good. The next, culture of Japan. There are a bunch of Japanese food. There are a bunch of very good Japanese food, and I like sushi the best. But I think the most interesting Japanese food is rice with raw egg. I know it sounds so weird and it doesn't sound good, but in Japan we can eat raw egg. So I want you guys to try it when you come to Japan. It tastes really good. Next, also we use public transportation a lot, and we love hot springs, which is called onsen in Japanese. The next, I would love to talk about my Japanese school because it's very different and it's much more strict than here compared to America. We can't make schedule by ourselves. We must wear uniform. We can't put makeups on. We can't get nails done. No earrings and no phone, no AirPods. No eating snacks during class. We must. Most of people goes to school by bike, and same do I. In my case, I take 30 minutes to go to school. The students have to take turn cleaning their classroom or hallway after school. For me, American school is heaven. There are a couple of Japanese pictures from Japan. That is my family and my dogs and from school. Now I'm hosted by Greenville County and I'm going to Greenville High School. I love Greenville so much. That bottom picture is my first host family, and Mr. Hutchins and Laura. They have 3 kids, Charlotte, Alex, Zoe, Charlotte, and they don't live with them, but we can get together when it's like a big event or birthday, so it was so much fun. And next is my second host family, Greg and Wendy family, and they have 2 kids, Gigi and Madeline. Gigi is one of my favorite, Gigi is one of my best friends from school, and I played volleyball and musical with her. My third and last host family is Jared and Emma. They're over there, and they have 2 kids, Ava and Harrison, and they're so sweet. And I'm so surprised at how big McNanny family is. There's a bunch of cousins, and I like hanging out with all of them when it's like event. Ava is one of my best friends from school, and I did track and musical with her. This is from volleyball. I played volleyball as a fall sport. This is my first time and then I wasn't that good, but it was so much fun. It's New York City. I went to Statue of Liberty and Times Square with Mr. Hutchins' family. This is my first Christmas in America. We have Christmas in Japan as well, but I'm really surprised that amount of present that I can get on Christmas. It was a big scale. And after Christmas, I went to Washington, D.C. with Mr. Hutchins' family, and I spent New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Mr. Hutchins has family, like his family in Washington, D.C., so I stayed at their house. Next, I went to Connecticut with my second host family's family and Gigi and their friends. We love Gilmore Girls, the show called Gilmore Girls, and then it's filmed in Connecticut, so we got to visit that place. This is one of my favorite memory of my exchange year. We did Les Mis, well, High School Musical. It was so much work, but it was really fun. I loved it. This is track season on spring. I hate running. I love skipping track, but my friends were really sweet and I loved it. This is my favorite memory, prom. In Japan we don't have prom, so it was my first and last and best prom ever. Lastly is a photo from Rotary Weekend. My first Rotary Weekend was in Rhinebeck, and we did camp. We slept outside. It was so cold, but they were very beautiful, like view, and then it was first time to hang out with other exchange students, so it was really nice. And the Golden Weekend, we went to New York City twice. We went to Broadway, and then we watched Romeo and Juliet. And there's a Red Hook and Millbrook. Just lastly, thank you so much for supporting me and making my exchange year amazing. I'm so grateful that I could be a part of Rotary Exchange student. This experience changed my life for the better. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Yo. And I'd also like to thank Todd for all of your dedication and service for being kind of the coordinator with Youth Exchange. I think it's a wonderful opportunity that has benefited Greenville. Students get to meet students from other countries. They wouldn't necessarily interact with or have that opportunity. And Rotary also has two programs that I can think of for students for Greenville to go outbound to other countries. I know just personally my daughter participated in it, and there's a summer program whereby students can go out for 3 weeks and then the other student comes back for 3 weeks. So if that is something that anyone is interested, please contact Rotary. for Todd, and Todd can refer them to the appropriate person. But we've loved having you. It's been wonderful. I know personally I have driven you to certain events and everything else, and it's just, it's wonderful. Your English is so much better than the first time that I drove. And I think that that's one of the things that the program is. It's just fostering kind of improving everyone's language and understanding that really the world is a small place and we're all the same. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I'm going to move us on to Tatum and to the student update, if you have one.
So it's kind of coming towards the end of the year, so I don't have a huge update. But I really want to thank you guys so much for attending the Relay for Life, because I saw the picture too of everyone on the board, and it like honestly made me tear up because it meant so much to me that you guys were like, when I told you guys that like it was happening, that you guys went out your way, and especially Angela, to organize something and like participate in it. And as Ms. Ricky said, it was really successful, so I was just really happy, although I couldn't be there unfortunately, but hopefully next year, if there's one next year. So thank you so much for that.
When there is.
When there is one
There
next
we
year,
go.
right. And I will be more than happy to help with that, honestly. Even if I'm in college, I don't care. I mean, yeah, and then also just some like thing that I thought would be interesting for you guys to know. It was really cool this past month seeing how many seniors and kids in my class were very interested in the board election, and like everyone was talking about it. Everyone was like asking like what it's about, and like kind of like just going out of their way to vote, especially like the 18-year-olds and everything. So that was pretty interesting because I've never really heard like people being that interested in this stuff. So, but it was really cool that they were all interested in that. So that's all.
Any advice for the next person coming after you?
Oh yes. So I do know who it is. Is that public knowledge yet? Okay, so it's Nicole Chase, and I did cheer with her freshman year. She's very responsible, and she's a really nice girl. So I think you guys will love working with her. I've already been reaching out to her and kind of like talking to her a little bit about like what it is on the board and everything, and like what I did on the board and everything. So I think she's gonna work really well with everyone. So I'm excited for you guys to work with her. She's awesome.
I just want to say thank you, Tatum. I'm like really emotional right now. I've just cried like 17 times. There's way too many feelings in this room right now. But thank you. You did such a good job. I'm sure the next person will do great. And like I've known you since you were a little girl, so it's really amazing. You're a really nice young woman, and I wish you the best.
Thank you so much, and thank you guys all for having me. This was like an amazing experience, so thank you so much. And I'm glad that you guys decided to add like a student option on the board. That's awesome.
Well, thank you for your service. All right, I'm going to move us on then to the district-wide school safety plan and turn it over to Todd Hildendorf, the Assistant Superintendent of Business.
Thank you. So this is the district-wide safety plan that needs to be approved each year. We actually partner with Questar for our health and safety services. So Tracy Catalfamo, who is our point person from Questar, actually worked on some of the updates. She was going to be here tonight to share some of those, but unfortunately she had a conflict, so she did send me just a short little description. So I'm just going to read her update as it relates to the district safety plan, and then if there's any questions, I can certainly answer them. So each year the state law requires that the Board of Education adopt an updated district-wide safety plan by September 1st. The plan is reviewed annually by the district-wide safety committee to ensure alignment with the commissioner's regulation and district protocols. For the 25-26 school year, only minor updates were made, reflecting the new school year dates and updated emergency contact information where necessary. The plan also clarifies required emergency drills. So there's a requirement for 12 total drills per school building each year, and that includes 6 evacuation and 2 lockdown drills by December 31st. And that's in line with the updated NYSED regulations, New York State Education Department. Greenville School District met that requirement this year. It just was not specifically spelled out in that way in the plan this current year, so we just updated the language to incorporate that specific language of the number of drills and which ones happen when. As required, the intermunicipal agreement with Greene County Sheriff's Department for school resource officers is also included with the district-wide safety plan. And tonight, action item 6.10 on the agenda is to approve that agreement. So as long as that is approved, it will be added to the appendix for the safety plan once it's fully signed. Then pending board acceptance, the draft plan will be posted for 30 days for public comment period, which would technically be June 10th through July 10th. And then in July, we would have a public hearing at the July 14th board meeting before final adoption. So it's on here, it's just kind of the initial, it's then the public comment, the public hearing on July 14th, and then approval. Any questions in regards to that?
You really took the emotion out of the meeting time.
All right, then I'm going to move us on to the first reading of the new policy, 6232, the internet connected devices. For this, and part of this is driven by the governor, and so the committee met, put together in working with our council on the policy, the version that you have there on what is permissible and so forth under the internet connected devices. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, go ahead.
It's on. This addresses internet-connected devices. It does not address cellular devices. And while I understand that that's not the state mandate, I wonder if we want to take it a step further and address it and hit both. I think it's going to be very difficult for our faculty and staff and administration to police and monitor and implement internet-connected devices versus flip phones or anything else. Whereas if we just go bell to bell on all devices, it may be a little bit easier and kind of across the board, just easier for everybody. That would be my opinion.
Any thoughts on that?
I believe when we wrote the policy, Tracy, first of all, that language comes from the state, the internet connected devices, but I think our intention was to include cellular devices. So Kel, if you want that added, we can certainly change that in the policy. It's a simple change. That was my understanding of the intent, was to include the term internet connected devices, personal device, was actually to try to be totally inclusive of all the devices.
And just so you know, at the code of conduct level, when we met this week with the district level team, it's the code of conduct and the consequences are being written right now. And granted, we could change them, but that's already addressing it as the cellular devices being included. So we just need to all be on the same page with that.
Any other thoughts regarding that?
Her comment or additional comments?
Either.
I have, even though I was involved in drafting this policy, I now have concerns about it because I really, before I can vote on this at the second reading of it, I understand with conversations we've had with superintendent that we're in charge of policy and admin is in charge of procedure, but for me personally, I really want to have a real good look at what procedure looks like before I can vote on this policy. And let me give you a scenario, or almost an analogy. If we as a board, and we've already done this, but if we as a board say that we're going to provide transportation to students to come to school, it's an assumption that we're going to use school buses, right? So we use school buses. Well, let's say transportation says, well, we're going to do something a little bit different, and instead of coming into the traffic circle, we're going to go backwards. We're going to have the buses back again. That would be ridiculous as a procedure. And we would want to know that up front before we have any kind of discussion or approval of a policy. So that's where I'm going with this particular situation. I want to know exactly as close as possible. And I know Kelly had mentioned, and I know that district level BLT is working on the code of conduct in relationship to this, but I think as a body, we need to know, in this particular instance, really close to what the procedure is going to be.
So is that something that we can ask Mike at the next meeting in June to kind of go through and talk about the procedures, tie into the code of conduct and so forth? Because that would still be the second reading at that point, which would give us time then to have discussions and so forth before then having to approve it in July. So I think that timing could work.
I agree, but it's up to everybody else. My thoughts are my thoughts, and I'm just wondering what everybody else is thinking. That timing works for me as long as it, and I understand procedure's going to change. Definitely having conversations with various people. You know, this, I don't want it to be seat of our pants, but I understand there's going to have to be some fluctuation. Maybe as time goes and as school years go, things will change. But certainly up front, I think as a board, we need to know what the intent of procedure is going to be. If you guys don't agree, that's a different story.
Well, I think what it helps is just to make sure that everyone's on kind of the same page. Like one of the things I think that the code of conduct is separating out and having a specific area for the internet connected, and I will say cellular devices, so that it is separate. Just because this is such a change, then we want to be able to clearly demonstrate these are the expectations for that. And now if we layer in kind of the procedures and kind of a discussion about that, understanding that while it's not our lane, I think having the knowledge then just benefits everyone for that. So what are other people's thoughts on it?
For me, I think it's very important for us not to only improve the front end. You know, like Dave is saying, you know, we want to make sure that the procedure, how things are going to be carried out, is important in this instant. So I agree. I think for us to have more information on how the procedure, how things are going to be carried out prior to approving the policy.
Yeah, I've always had concerns from the beginning that this will fall onto the faculty and staff and it'll be a big fight next year, and I just want to make sure that we have very clear guidelines on, you know, what we're doing and don't make them have to kind of, like you said, make it up as we go. So I think we should be more informed or aware.
I've always said bell to bell, so I'm in agreement with the idea that students should be studying and that the devices can go away. Whether they're flip phones or whatever the device is, a watch, whatever. I think we should have it written out as far as policy part saying, oh, you cannot have these devices. Procedurally, I trust the administration to do the right thing. It would be nice to know what they're going to do in advance. I think that for next year, they're going to be adjusting a lot as the process goes through. You don't know what you're going to find till you get there. So, and hopefully parents will be helpful and say, students, don't bring your cell phones to school, or do not turn them on. This requires a lot of parent support for their child's education also. So, I'm not pushing back, I'm on board.
I think the more it's discussed with everyone at the community level, the parent level, and everything, it's just gonna make the implementation smoother. There will be hiccups. We know that. It's usually the first week is your honeymoon, it's the second week, or I've heard after 3 days.
I think keeping us informed and having us all working on the same page is good. In
terms of the procedure, I don't wanna, I would like an update. I don't wanna put the pressure on administration to have to make a decision in the next couple of weeks in order for us to get this passed in time. But if we can get some sort of update from them, and I'm sure Mike can update everybody with the language of the consequences, which is the part that the code of conduct and the DLT was handling. We shall see anyways when we go to do the code of conduct update, but the more info we have before we finalize this, the better.
Anything else related to this policy?
So are we all in agreement that the cell phones in general are being added in instead of just internet-connected devices? Is that what we're doing?
I thought so. Okay, all right, so we're all in agreement. So we will add, Daphne, if you could make that change, please.
Somebody says it here, including but not limited to cell phones. It's kind of covered there, unless you want to spell it out differently in the title.
I think you have to spell it out where you say internet-connected devices. I feel like there's language there that causes a loophole.
So the title-
It really needs to say something about cellular devices and internet. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because
But Daphne's question is, right now, the way it reads is the title says internet connected. We can add into the title. But in point number A, it says, so right before it says, accordingly, the Greenville Board of Education adopts the following policy. A, student-possessed internet-connected personal devices, including but not limited to cell phones.
Internet-connected devices, cell phones. So in other words, if you have a flip phone, it's not connected to the internet, it's a cell phone, but this says internet-connected devices. Doesn't say
Tracy, I think
cellular-connected devices.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's okay. There's a difference between the two, and I'm telling you right now, there's already people looking for ways around it. So if
So
you
change
cover
it in the title?
I think it needs to be changed. You can ask
Where? Be specific, please.
either the title, the first sentence, identifying that we're not just talking about a smartphone that can connect to the internet. We're talking about every cell phone that you would use to text, call, etc.
I think because it leads with internet-connected personal devices and then comma, 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 it's assumed that it's just that. Or it can be, like you said, creating a loophole.
Yes, I think that the intent is not to provide loopholes. The intent is get kids talking and engaging. So what we can do is we'll change the title. The first sentence we'll add in that, use the same language that we have under A, but just to clarify that in fact it is cell phones, internet-connected devices, and so forth. Because also teachers and administrators don't want to be spending time, well, is that internet-connected device or not? I mean, that's a waste of their time also, and that's not fair. That's not what the intent of this is for. So if that can be prevented through improved wording, by all means. Anything else related to this for now? Again, it'll be ongoing. And I think that if we just have that mindset, you know, as a way to approach it.
I think you can also, there's going to be loopholes so it has to be, you can do walkie-talkie type devices, there's other devices, there's going to be pushback or means, you know, in order to, I would say, the letter of the law. So this policy has to be liquid, you know, it has to be enforced, but liquid to where it can be updated as necessary for when, you know, there's distractions in the classroom, for any type of communication devices that, you know, because technology changes, so I'm sure they'll find a way, you know, in order to do things.
And I think that that's where the policy is written with the idea that it's broad enough so that it doesn't have to be changed every couple of weeks, but at the same time, the procedures can be updated so that they're in keeping with the intent, and yet they don't have to then go through 2 readings and so forth for that. Okay. All right, then I'm going to move us on to the capital project update and turn it over to Todd.
I'll try to make this more exciting than the last one. Angela. This is a little more exciting. So some pictures to go along with an update for the capital project. So just to touch on some of the different spaces that are being worked on. So top left picture here is paving. So this is outside the elementary school around what is the new elementary gym. That started last week and is actually completed. Today they were down there hydro seeding the dirt area around the paving. The bottom left corner where it says art, so if the board remembers back in April, we did some shifting of current classrooms during the school year to free up some spaces to turn those spaces over to construction. So this is one of those spaces that was an elementary classroom and a closet and another small room. This will become the elementary art room. So the sheetrock happened in there just last week, so that's coming along nicely. The middle picture, which is kind of the star of this slide, is the elementary gym, which is very close to completion. The most recent update is they put the mats around the exterior, or around the perimeter of the wall, so that is looking fantastic. And then the bottom right is another one of those spaces that we turned over in April that was previously one of the music rooms. Some shifting of walls happened in there, and that will be a special ed classroom in the fall. I don't have a picture of it, but the other thing happening at the elementary school is off the south part, see a large hole with a fence around it. That is where the new propane tank is going in. I believe that's now going in tomorrow. I'm looking at Rich, yeah, so that will be going in tomorrow. There'll be a crane on campus, big doing. It's a crane with a propane tank. So that will be happening tomorrow. It's empty when it gets installed. Good point, yes. Propane will not be in it when it's being installed. And then a couple others. This also is one of those spaces that we turned over in April. So this is what was the old elementary band and music area. So the bottom left corner is now a corridor. So this is a big part of the safety component of this project, truly connecting the back wing and the front wing of the elementary school, which is a huge deal. It'll just make the flow of the building so much better. So that's the corridor. And then the other two pictures on here are two of the 4 rooms that are now on that corridor. One here is future office for Ms. Macaluso. She's coming back in, perfect timing. That's her future office there. And then another smaller classroom that will be a special ed kind of resource room area. So just some pictures. I thought it's always fun to see pictures, and the painting in these spaces just happened last week, so there's now maroon on the wall, which is great to see as we go through the project. And then some information on the financial side. This is actually also on the board agenda for later on this evening. Some change orders. So because these are significant change orders, I thought it'd be good to take some time to talk through it. And again, if you have questions, you can certainly ask. So I'm going to talk through each one of these. As a reminder, change orders come to the board for approval if they are over $10,000. So these are the ones that are over $10,000, the most recent change orders. But the reason there's a skip in order, so like 30, 31, and then it goes to 34, well, 32 and 33 were smaller change orders that didn't require board approval. So this is the first 4 looking at ones that require board approval on the agenda tonight. So the first one, which is on here, is number 30. Description is the elementary limestone. So the front of Ellis, if you're standing in the front of the building and looking right at the front of the building, the facade that is in the middle, it is all limestone. In doing this project, there was a certain area that was supposed to be repointed. And looking at that through the project, they discovered that it was a larger issue, and really the entire face of the Ellis, where that limestone is, needs to be repointed to keep it from falling off in the future. So that's an important piece. There was contingency in the project that allowed us to add this through a change order. Second one, which is listed as number 31, is elementary school abatement. So this was a found condition actually in some of the rooms that I was just showing you pictures of. There was asbestos found that needed to be abated that was not originally in the project. That is a costly process, but necessary for the work to continue. Third one listed is number 34, and the fourth one listed as number 35. So these two are a little different, and again, significant numbers. So at this point in the project, we are a good percentage through the project at this point. The summer, as soon as July hits, will be a very busy on campus for construction. But we're at a point in the project where we can look at the contingency budget, so meaning the money that was not awarded to any bids when we first did the bids last year. So we had held money back for all these things that come up during construction that we do change orders for. At this point in the project and looking at the financials, we felt comfortable using the contingency budget to award some of the original alternates. So specifically, there was an alternate in the original bid for elementary school roofing work and a separate alternate for middle school, high school roofing work. This was critical, and we wanted to make sure, if at all possible, we could get it in the project, we could. So we are fortunate at this point, we are able to get it in through a change order. So while they were originally an alternate in the bidding process, to award them now, we have to do it through a change order. So the elementary one, significant price tag, $335,000, and the middle school, high school, $620,000. So those are the change orders that you will see on the agenda later for approval. The last one on the bottom, just to add some additional complexity and context, it's listed as change order 36. You're not going to see this as approval because this is actually a credit. So the board doesn't have to approve any change orders that are credits, but this is a significant credit. And it goes against number 35. Okay, so really, you took 35 and 36, subtract the 207,000 out of the 620, that's really what the middle school roof is costing. The reason for that is when the project was originally bid, the bid that came in for the middle school roof included abatement that it should not have. So that 620,000, the bid included work for asbestos abatement. When we started having conversations a couple months ago with the contractors and schoolhouse about, hey, we have contingency funds, we need to start assessing how we're going to use them, could we get updated numbers on what the roofing would cost? Through that process, they discovered, oh, the original bid actually had this work that is not necessary now that you're going to move forward with it. Okay? To do it all correctly for the processes of state ed, we have to accept the change order in that full amount of 620, which is what the alternate was, but then right behind it is another change order that corrects it and reduces it by the amount that it truly is. Okay. So I wanted to add that in because the board doesn't see that last change order on approval for tonight, and it's important because it does actually reduce change order number 35. Questions?
Todd, I had a question regarding the abatement at Ellis for the $15,000. How many classrooms is that?
So that was in the space that actually showed the space that was the previous elementary school band room and music room. It was underneath the windows in that space. It will now be 4 smaller classrooms, but it's the windows in that area. Underneath the windows, the walling. Looking at Rich to confirm that I'm saying the correct thing.
Yes,
that was
put the new univents in, they had to take that.
Right, so part of this work is putting new unit ventilators in each of those new spaces, under the windows in each space, so in needing to do that, they discovered that there was asbestos in that wall.
So Todd, there's no way to get ahead of this and do like an inspection of some kind, it's just things that are covered that we're finding over time, right? Hidden?
Excellent question. Some is hidden, some are found conditions. In this case, it should have been known. That whole entire section of the building, there is asbestos in the walls. So in that exact same space, there was abatement in other areas. It was just not called out for in this specific location underneath the windows. So technically it was known, but it was not included in the original project when it was bid. So that's why it turns into a change order.
So do we have a bunch of encapsulated asbestos in the building that we know about right now?
Yes.
Everywhere? Okay.
Yes. Not necessarily everywhere, but yes, there are certainly sections of the elementary school and the high school that there's asbestos in areas, yes. Whenever possible, certainly in these projects where we can remove, we do.
I'm happy to get a credit for the middle school roof, but I will say that I'm losing even more confidence in the folks that were supposed to do discovery, because the middle school roof was built way after they no longer used asbestos for building material. So not discovering that material was never there is a problem for me. Please share that.
I happily will.
questions related to the capital project?
I'm gonna assume we're still on schedule on that.
We are, yes. Yes. And certainly the spaces that we were able to turn over have been a good, like, it's giving us a head start on the summer work. Yes, we are on schedule. It will be a busy July and August, but it will happen.
And what about if the weather doesn't cooperate? I mean, I'm assuming they can still work in the rain? Because we've had a lot of it.
They can. The one piece that rain will affect now is actually these change orders, the roofing.
Is it worth having a discussion with them, saying it's one of the rainiest on record? I mean, Albany made the national news about it has rained every single weekend since February. Wait, November? Okay, there we go. We were the national news on it, great. So knowing that, like, okay, what is your contingency to get it done?
Yes, we certainly can have that conversation. And while the push is to do the interior work in July and August, the roofing could technically happen September, October. That doesn't impact the inside of the building. And in terms of closing out the project in December, even if roofing happens September, October, we're still good. But
Yeah, I wanted to
can't
ask,
control Mother Nature, so.
the alternates are still in play as far as our bond thing goes, as far as being done by December.
Yes, this all falls into the main project, has to be done, final cost reports by December.
Okay. I was gonna say, if we chose an alternate and had to be finished after December, not possible. No.
It gets more complicated, so let's just say no. No for now.
I have a concern going along with Tracy as well, is even if you push the time out to do the roofing, can we guarantee that the contractor is going to be available? Because that is a concern that we have as far as, because they're biting on other contracts as well. Are we ensured that we're getting the same contract value per dollar? That putting it out due to weather, we don't have to end up paying more in order to get the work done on the roof.
So once this change order is approved, this locks us into this pricing. So they can't, even if it messed up their schedule as a contractor, they can't come back and say, we're gonna charge you X dollars more because we had to change our schedule. Nope, they're agreeing by doing this change order to the work that's in it, and there's no deviation from that. So part of why we wanted to get this on for tonight, and it took a little work to get these change orders in a place where they could be on the agenda for tonight. As long as the board supports it, we're able to then go back to the contractor and say, yes, we can officially move forward. They have tentatively held a place for us in the roofing contractor's timeline for the summer. This will lock it in, and they were confident that at this point, if we got on their schedule, we would be in good shape. So, but we'll continue to have conversations with them.
Just wanted to be sure.
Yep, you're welcome.
Thank you. Then, let's see, Sierra. We have a communications update, so Sierra Pizzola, School Communications Specialist. Come on down.
Hi, everybody. I promise to keep this quick and no feelings on this one either. So as you know, I do this every year. This is my third year. So one of the things we started last year was our Spartan Snapshot, which is our weekly newsletter that goes out on Thursdays. That has been a great success again this year. Readership has stayed consistent from last year to this year, between 500 and 600 readers each week with some outliers. We put out over 80 editions. We have not missed a Thursday in the last 2 years, which I'm incredibly proud of because it's really hard some days when everything seems to fall on a Thursday recently. Next year, I got some great feedback from an elementary school parent forum that we did last week, looking at some changes, possibly being able to embed the newsletter inside of an email so somebody doesn't have to click to download a PDF. I know it seems simple to just click a PDF and look at it, but it is one more hurdle, and it could be preventing our parents and community from reading it. So that's something I'll be looking into. And while we still separate these sections by school, I'm looking into having a different way to prioritize our information. I've received feedback from people that some things are getting buried in the snapshot. So maybe we're talking about our everyday heroes at the elementary school, and something that is a more pertinent announcement, not so much a good news piece. It's underneath that. So looking at the ways we prioritize that information to make sure it's getting to everybody. On the same note, we do our e-news every month, and that readership has dropped significantly. It's been steady since 2021. We had about 660 readers every month. This year we had about 460, so it's dropping. The other part of that is a lot of the information that's going out monthly is already in the snapshot. So next year we're going to combine those two. It's led to a lot of confusion, especially among faculty and staff, saying they don't know about deadlines on when to submit things, and they're not sure which it should be submitted to. So being able to make it all one thing, I think will be much easier on everybody. That will still go out on Thursdays at 6 p.m. On social media, we have continued our practices of snow day videos, obviously, not many, and some great videos, good content all around. I think one of the things that we've been talking about more this year is that social media is kind of like a highlight reel for our district. It's not meant to show a photo of every student at every event. As you know, we have privacy issues and FERPA students, and I have a growing number of students who simply don't want their photo taken, especially if it's going to end up online, and I never want to force anybody into that. So although their parents may have given permission, I don't want to take a picture of somebody who doesn't want their photo taken. So a lot of times that's why they don't end up online. On Instagram, we gained 190 new followers, bringing us to 908. And when I began 3 years ago, we had 174. So that's a big jump. A lot of our followers are younger in age on Instagram than on Facebook. Facebook, we are up to about 7,300 followers, which is an increase of about 200 from last year. If you remember last year, we had a really big jump because we had a really big viral video. That doesn't usually happen for school districts. So we have some followers just for the snow day videos on there. As a comparison, districts of our size in our area average about 3,000 followers on Facebook. So we are a little above average there. Other communication practices, we will continue. This, I think, is the third year we'll be doing a district-wide printed calendar. I have great feedback on that. It's hanging in most classrooms. Parents love it. They love seeing their dates. Graduation is in there a year ahead of time. It's perfect. When we made changes to our end of the year calendar, we were able to put out a template that somebody could just download and update their printed calendar. So that worked very well. We will continue sending text messages before half days or untraditional days off, like the Tuesday after Memorial Day for a Give Back Snow Day. This really helps our transportation department with kids being left on buses. We really haven't had any, luckily, lately, since we started sending text messages. Emergency communications, that was one of the first things that I worked on, and that has just basically stayed baseline. If I am not in the office, Daphne is a huge help, and so is Sarah Statham with all of that. So a huge thank you to them for being willing to take on things that are not their job. We'll continue our monthly section in the Pioneer. That seems to be a success, especially for people who aren't really online. They love seeing our students and everything that they're doing in the Pioneer. New this year, we started Mr. Urban's weekly video updates. Those go out Friday, usually in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon, depending. That seems to be a hit with parents. They really like seeing his videos. They're between 1 and 2 minutes, and we try to really keep it short and sweet, and it just talks about what's coming up on that week or any important issues that we're dealing with. Another thing that we've kind of taken on in the last 1 or 2 years is community relations, and that's not necessarily in this job description, but I think it's a big part of communications. If you have positive relationships with your community, they're more willing to come to you with any questions or things like that, and I have seen a lot more people reach out to me with any problems they have or message our Facebook page. So in terms of that, we continued with the staff basketball game, which was a great success this year. We raised over $2,000. And that's all going to a school supply program that we started last year. in conjunction with the local churches, or a local church. And we're able to give school supplies to students in need here in Greenville. And that obviously helps our community a lot as well. I received one email from a faculty member who said that the staff basketball game, they heard from a parent that it humanizes our administrators and our teachers. And I think that is it's true, because if you saw them at the basketball game, they are human, for sure. So
I hear about some aches and pains after the game.
Yes, but everybody showed up to work the next day, and that was the goal. So in terms of changes for next year, I want to reevaluate the way that we do our emails. Currently, our practice is that everything goes in the snapshot, because when I got here, our perception surveys showed that there were too many individual emails and parents didn't know where to find information, and we don't want that to happen. However, I've also now gotten feedback that they're missing things. So if an example would be this new cell phone policy. Usually with this practice, we would just put it in the snapshot, but that seems like a really big deal that parents should be informed about, so maybe that should be an individual email. So looking at changing those practices and making sure it's across the board, so we're not promoting one thing more than the other. There's a fine line between too many emails and not enough, and I think we might be falling into the not enough right now, so I want to look at that more. I'll also be working with Realshare to see how we can better utilize the website. It is a lot more cleaned up now, but I think that we could be using it better. And then reevaluating our process for advertising events. We looked into that last year, but I think we need to look into it again, so it's more clear for clubs and organizations when they have something coming up, how many times we will post it on our Facebook page. And additionally, what community groups are we posting for? We have, Daphne knows, probably 2 to 3 community groups every week reaching out to us, asking us to blast out an email to our community or send a flyer home, and we have to be protective over our listserv and the things that we're advertising to our students. So looking at what we are using that for over the summer as well. And that's it. Does anybody have any questions?
Is there any need or any area that we're not addressing?
We address a lot of areas.
Here we go.
I think the need falls in sending out those individual emails. I know I've spoken with Denise a little bit about athletics. Right now we don't send emails in grades 7 through 12 from Greenville Central School District per se about athletic registrations, but that would be something very beneficial. So I've actually already got it set up for next year where we are able to email that out from the athletics department, from Mr. Reed's office. So I already have that set up to put into place next year, but I think that's the part where we're lacking, and we already got a fix for it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, copy and chat update. Kelly, you're on.
We have a community coffee chat date for this coming Saturday, which is the 14th. It's 9 to 11, Greenville Library. I have 2 people who said they're, 3 people who said they're available. I was just waiting to see if there was anyone who hasn't done it yet who might want to join us for it. Or Jim. It's fine. We can only have 3 of us there, so that we're not a quorum. But I just wanted to make sure we were all aware of it. The last one we didn't get anybody, but we've also had ones where we've had a full, 15 to 20 different community members and people who either have no one in school but want to know what's going on, or parents, or even some staff with some questions and stuff. So we'll try again, and then we can maybe reevaluate. But yeah, so that's that for this Saturday.
And how frequently would you say you've been doing it over the year?
This year I think we've only had 2. Last year I think we achieved 3, maybe 4. We did one up in Rensselaerville. That's the one thing I would like to try a little harder to do, is find some places where we could do them in different parts of the district. We were able to do the one at the Rensselaerville Library, but other than that, they've pretty much been concentrated in Greenville, just because it's a spot we can go to. The library is very willing to let us use that room, and then the entrance is easy and everything. So 9 to 11, and I'll even bring you donuts.
No, maybe if you had it at 5 in the morning, it would be, people my age might show up.
You're gonna get the coffee? We can chat later.
Thank you, Kelly. All right, let me move on to leadership positions. Hard to believe, but our organizational meeting is in July, the first meeting in July. And so every year we will go through and we elect a president and a vice president. At our next meeting in June, if anyone is interested in either of those positions, there'll be an opportunity for the individual to kind of state their case and so forth. So I think one of the things the board tried to do was a couple of years ago, just make this process a little more transparent and how it is done and so forth. So if any member wants to express an interest in either of those two positions, then it will happen at the next meeting on the 23rd. Okay? So with that, unless anyone else has any questions, I'm going to move us on to our action items. All right, I need a motion to approve the minutes from May 12th, 2025.
Angela and Eric?
Any discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead.
It's rare that we discuss minutes, but during the capital project update during this month of May, that meeting is, we're approving the minutes. I had asked Mike to include any and all change orders to date to be included in the minutes, and I don't see it.
I put them on Word docs, but I certainly can add them to the minutes.
I'd like to have the public be able to see them. Thank you.
So do you want
That would have to be amended.
So why don't we then change it and just put it on the 23rd, unless there's some time frame, and then we can just do both. Okay, perfect. So we are tabling approval of the minutes to until the 23rd in order to reflect adding in the change orders from the capital project. Any other discussion related to this? So do we have to vote for tabling it? So can I have a motion then to table it?
Eric
Okay.
and Jim?
Any discussion on tabling it? All in favor of tabling it? Aye. Are we good now? Good, thank you. All right. I need a motion to approve the finance reports for the month ending May 31st, 2025.
Kelly and Eric?
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. I need a motion to accept the Committee on Special Education recommendations.
Angela and Kelly?
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. I need a motion to approve the personnel agenda.
Kelly and Angela?
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. I need a motion to approve Nicole Chase as a student BOE member for the 25-26 school year.
Kelly and Jim?
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. I need a motion to adopt the resolution of the Board of Education of the Greenville Central School District to authorize the district clerk to unseal and open the ballot box and destroy official ballots from the May 21st, 2024 school board election and budget vote.
Jim and Angela?
Any discussion? And this is done continuously, yes. All in favor? Aye. I need a motion to adopt the resolution dated June 9th, 2025 of the Board of Education of the Greenville Central School District authorizing the establishment of a tax certi, how do I say it, the Latin? Takes tax cert, certiorari reserve fund. All right, gonna have to ask the Latin teacher. Any discussion?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Todd, do you have an average of what our normal refunds are on challenges to assessments?
I do not. We have not had any in recent years.
So what's the purpose of this fund?
So this year, we're looking to establish it because we have a taxpayer in the district that has challenged their assessment for the 24-25. If you remember earlier in the year, the district made an agreement with the town to go in half and half to have a separate assessment done. So it's that piece of property that is still lingering, it has not been finalized. So this is a way, worst case scenario, if the taxpayer got their assessment reduced to what they're looking for it to be reduced to, the amount that we would put in the tax cert is the amount that they would get back, worst case scenario. So, and that's approximately $18,000. So this is a larger piece of property, or larger assessed value.
Is that the dollar amount we're talking about? Because I see that there's no cap to this.
So by definition, so this is to approve the creation of it.
Right.
What we're able to put into a tax cert reserve, we have to have backup for our auditors that would show we're putting in this amount because if this taxpayer got their assessment decreased to what they're asking, this is what the refund would be. So it has to be directly connected. We can't just create this and say, oh, we want to put $50,000 in there because someday, somewhere, it might happen. No, this is very specific to having a situation where we could potentially be on the hook to pay back a refund. We can't do it in this current year because it hasn't been settled. The only way to hold that money specifically for this reason is to create this tax cert reserve. If it's not used, or even a portion of it isn't used, it can only sit in the tax cert reserve for up to 4 years. After 4 years, we'd have to deplete it out.
So it has to be an exact amount at some point.
It has to be
Or within range.
Correct. You have to have backup to justify, the reason I put this amount is because this is what it could end up being for this tax.
So if you're saying that we may potentially have to refund 18 grand and we decide to put 30,000 in this fund.
I would not be able to put 30,000.
Okay, so what would be the amount that we would?
It's around 18. The exact number I don't have in front of me, but it's around 18,000 is the worst case scenario if the assessed value of this property went to where they are asking for it to be.
So my question is, why not have that amount written in this document?
So this is the creation of the tax cert. On the next June board meeting,
Will have the exact number in there?
yes,
Okay.
that will be for the approval of transferring the money to that, along with other end-of-year transfers. That'll be in there with other reserve transfers.
Is there a lifetime on this? 4 years, is it? We're gonna have to create another tax cert?
Good question. I don't know the answer to that. I believe once you create it, it's there. And you would put money in. If it's not used, it comes back out, but you at least create it so that in future situations, you could then have board action to put money in there. But I will get clarification on that. I don't know.
Appreciate that. So where did this document come from? Who created it?
This was created by our attorneys.
So it's something
Connie Cahill.
Boilerplate stuff that they.
Correct.
So it's got a clock on it, right, at 4 years, right? So
Correct.
if we put funds in at the next meeting, those funds have a clock on it. But if this fund continues on and we put money in next year, they'll have a different clock on it. It'd be another 4 years for those specific funds, okay?
Correct. Yep.
Any other questions related to this? Go ahead.
So where does the money go if we don't use it and 4 years goes by?
So even in next year, let's say this situation plays out and we have to pay back $10,000, but we still have $8,000 left in this reserve, it would just come back to general fund in next year's budget. So it would be additional money that comes back into general fund. Or it could be, there's a couple different options. Another option would be in the creation of the 26-27 budget. If we know that, oh, we spent $10,000, we have $8,000 left in this reserve that can't stay there, we could say in the 26-27 budget creation, for the purpose of revenue, we're gonna pull $8,000 out of that reserve to go back into general fund.
Sorry, I just want to make sure I know what we're talking about. So you plan on doing this every year, or this is a specific circumstance?
There's a specific circumstance based on a parcel of property in Greenville School District, them challenging their assessment. If it was a smaller assessed value, there's actually ability to do it within annual general fund budget. Because this is such a significant amount, potentially up to 18,000,
Right.
just a little different to have the security of using funds that we currently have to put it there and hold it just as a worst case scenario situation.
And then each time it would come before the board, before we, okay.
Correct, yep. Any transfer of money into the reserve requires board action.
So Tom, we have one more question. We have a fund currently in our budget to balance any request or court order, I guess, for a reassessment or a reduction in taxes, correct?
We have the ability in each annual general fund, yes. So like we had another one recently.
Or is there a specific line?
I believe it's a specific one,
Yeah.
that there's money.
You know what the balance of that is?
I don't, I can find out. And we have smaller ones. We had another one recently that it was an error on the assessor roll that we received, but taxpayer challenged it, they were correct. We had to pay back, a couple $100. That's fine. We can manage that in the year-to-year general fund budget.
Good.
But I can find the specific amount, and what, if anything, has been paid out of there this year.
Any other questions?
I just need a second, I got Eric as a first, I just need a second.
Angela? All right, then, all in favor? Aye. I need a motion to approve the results of the May 20th, 2025 annual vote and election.
Angela and Kelly?
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. I need a motion to approve the 25-26 school improvement and district goals development calendar.
Jim and Angela?
Any discussion? All in favor?
Dave?
For the calendar? Yes, okay. 6.10. I need a motion to approve the intermunicipal agreement between the Greenville Central School District and the County of Greene and the Greene and Sheriff of Greene County for a school resource officer, SRO, for the period of September 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026, in the amount of $71,693.45.
Angela and Eric?
Any discussion?
Yeah, we have no control over this dollar amount.
Be more specific.
In dollar
It's
amount or
done
in control?
contractually, right? And then the increase is set by the sheriff's office.
Right, so
Right, so
the
in that
sheriff tells
sense-
us what it's gonna cost us.
That is correct.
That's no control. Or, no, our control would be whether or not we have an SRO or not.
Yes, and one of the things, it was a question that I asked, is that that position is obviously based on experience, years of experience and so forth. If, and I'm not saying this, but if a different SRO were to come in, then it may not necessarily be at that amount. But we don't anticipate that. We anticipate continuing with our existing SRO. I just want to clarify that.
Right, that was just part of the question I had. The other question is, I'm wondering, without judgment, whether or not we have or have used any authority we may have in this situation to assign the person to be where we want him or where he's most needed.
From an administrative standpoint, I can't answer that. Can you?
Ask your question again, because I'm not clear what you're asking.
I'm wondering if we needed him or her to be in the high school from 8 to 9 in the morning.
Got it.
Do we have the ability to schedule that?
Yes, absolutely, yes.
So we can ask him to be wherever he needs to be, he or she?
Yes.
Okay, is that done?
Yeah, he has a radio, so anybody can call him at any time.
Right. And the principal certainly, if there's a situation happening and they need him, or just proactively, they know something is happening and they want his presence, they certainly reach out to him and let him know. So the time that he's here on campus contractually, we're able to, you know, we ask him to be in a certain building over the other, or that is for us to ask.
And I remember a discussion where they asked him not to be on such a schedule that everybody could figure out where he was at a moment. I remember that vividly.
We still need to vote on it. Okay, all in favor? Aye. I need a motion to approve the contract between the Greenville Central School District and Oak Hill School for July 7th, 2025 through June 26th, 2026.
Angela and Kelly.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I need a motion to approve the change order GC 030, change order CG 0313435, totaling $1,004,263 to Bunkoff General Contractors, Inc.
Kelly and Eric.
Any discussion?
This is a little bit more than a car.
A tad. All in favor? Aye. Okay, I need a motion to award the refuse removal and recycling for the 25-26 school year through DCMO BOCE's bid process to Waste Management in the amount of $24,168.
Angela, Eric.
Any discussion? All in favor? I need a motion to approve the bond resolution dated June 9th, 2025 of the Board of Education of the Greenville Central School District authorizing not to exceed $1,005,182 aggregate principal amount of serial general obligation bonds to finance the acquisition of school buses and associated radios at the estimated aggregate of maximum cost of $1,005,182 levy of tax and annual installments in payment thereof, the expenditure of such sum for such purpose, and determining other matters in connection therewith. That's a mouthful. Oh, cheapers.
Angela. Kelly.
Any discussion?
Can you repeat the answer?
Yeah, really, exactly. All in favor?
Aye.
That's why you gotta go to law school. I need, let's see, 6.15, motion to award fresh bread bid, DCMO BOCE's cooperative purchasing for the 25-26 school year.
Eric and Kelly.
And it's going to Bimbo Bakeries. No, growing up there was a baker called Bimbo Bakery, so, but it was in Spanish, so never mind. Any, all in favor? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Maybe it's just, let's just move on. A motion to accept the donations of the Greenville Central School District, and this is for, let's see, a PTA for donating $600,000. $600,000, well, thank you to the PTA. $600 to be used by the 5th grade class to offset the cost of the Zoom Flume field trip. And let's see, we also have Anne-Marie Fonzo for donating the following golf equipment to the golf team with an approximate value of $1,500.
Angela and Eric.
Any discussion? Other than thank you. All in favor?
Aye. And thank you.
And thank you. Motion to approve the overnight field trip. Field trips.
Eric. Angela.
Any discussion?
These are the fun ones.
Yeah, exactly. All in favor? Aye. I need a motion to approve the surplus items.
Angela. Need a second. Dave.
Any discussion? Anyone want a fluorescent lamp? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any items for discussion at future meetings?
I actually have spoken with Scott Gardner and with Tanya. I'd like to have them do a presentation on, or actually it'll be Tanya doing it, but about AI and the use in the district, how we're using it so far, what she sees coming. I'm on the tech committee with her. She's very knowledgeable. She's got some great insight and some great things that the schools are doing, and I think it would be good for us to hear about that. I'm not sure when it will be, but I know that they will be. I know they're looking at it already.
Absolutely. We'll add that in, and then at the program, any other topics? Yes, Eric?
I don't know if it's a discussion thing, but in the past, when new board members have come on, we've had a workshop or something to explain the role of a board member and how it works with the administration and what the job is as a board member in the district. Can we get one of those scheduled?
Absolutely. Okay.
Isabel? Isabel?
Mm-hmm.
We have one scheduled.
Okay.
Not the same thing?
No, I actually haven't come here to facilitate a meeting.
Oh.
I think we did one several years ago. Yes, for that. I'll go back. Any other topics? Yes.
Yes, as far as maybe through guidance or, to find out this year's students, where the pathways are leading us. It'd be nice to know what colleges are going to, what the acceptance rate, whether it was their first, second choice, those kind of things, as well as who's going into the workforce, so we can get an idea of what we're putting out for this class.
I'd also be interested in military and
Yes.
knowing who's going there. Okay. We'll add that in. Anything else? All right, just a couple of quick reminders. We have the 5th grade advancement on June 25th at 8:30 in the morning. We have the 8th grade advancement June 26th at 9. We have the high school graduation Friday, June 27th at 6 p.m. I believe people have received invitations. Please RSVP to Daphne if you have not already. Okay, and then let's see, our next board meeting is at the end of June, on June 23rd, and this is so that we can close out the year ending, make any transfers or any last minute details from a fiscal standpoint or anything else before we close out the school year. And then after that, our reorganization is on July 14th. It is, I believe, 1 week later in order to accommodate some vacation schedules. Is that, I think, it's the 14th instead of the 7th. So just mark your calendars accordingly. Anything else? No? Then, let's see, closing open forum. Please note the same guidelines apply as stated during the first open forum. Is there anyone that would like to speak about the $600,000 donation? I apologize. Just a few zeros. But seriously, is there anyone that would like to speak?
Varsity Sports Awards are this Thursday, if you guys would like to come. And also we have 3 seniors that are committing to play at college level too, that have let you know. We're going to do that at 5. So.
Thank you. Any emails or anything, Daphne? No? Okay. Then, if I could have a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss the superintendent's evaluation. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, thank you, everyone.